Let's explore tracking versus no tracking in Entity Framework. So here you can see we are using the students table over here. So this is the data model that exists within Entity Framework that links in with the backend table called students. And what we're doing is we're just going to get the first value or the default value if the value is not found. So here what we're basically doing is for the student ID, we're going to look for if it's equal to 1, return that student. We know that a student with ID number 1, but it should return 1 student. And then we're going to update its name. Then we'll execute using the database context, the save changes. So essentially we've got a connection here and we want to save changes. And this will update the database. So here is, if you look at this one, we are basically doing the same thing as above. So you can see this and this matches over here, but you will see that there's an extra method being executed here, which is as NoTracking. And then we are using the first or the default method and doing the same thing looking for student 1. And we are going to change the student name to new name, and then we are going to do save changes. So at this point, what we should find is the new name over here should not get saved back to the database. So let's have a look at our database first. So you can see our database is here and we've got the following students. So you can see the first student, Ali, over here. We want to change his name. In the code, when we run this should change to updated name. But this bit over here, when it executes, it shouldn't change the name to new name. So if we were to run this over here, so as you can see, our application has finished executing. So now if we go over to the database and if we just execute this query again and click on execute, we should find that it has updated name and it changed the name from Ali to updated name over here. So if we have a look at this, it didn't change it to new name because we used the no tracking method here, even though we executed save changes. Because it was no tracking, it never actually made the relevant change. It only made the change in the local dataset, but not in the original database. So why would you use as no tracking? So if we have a look at no tracking versus tracking, so with tracking, what you can do is you can read data and update it. So yeah, that's fine, but you cannot use it for read-only queries, large data reads and disconnected scenarios and caching or storing data locally. So ideally shouldn't be used for these purposes, although you can if you wanted to. So with no tracking, basically your queries run faster. You can do large data reads. You can use it for disconnected scenarios like web APIs, and we'll do that at some point in the future. And you can see that you can also use it for caching data locally. So yeah, just remember that you can just use as no tracking, and that means that your save changes won't reflect any changes that you make over here. While if you don't use no tracking over here versus over here, then you'll get the desired output that you want.